persons who are here who call themselves full employment defenders. Welcome. Mr. Chairman, what do you consider full employment? I have the number 5.5%, but if you differ, I'd like to hear your number, please.
You know, I would, so if I had to make an estimate, I'd say it's somewhere in the low fours, but I would stress that it could be, what that really means, it could be 5 and it could be 3.5.
Let's take the low fours or 3.5. When is the last time that African-American unemployment was in the low fours or 3.5?
I don't think it ever has been in the years we've been measuring it.
Quite frankly speaking, it hasn't been since slavery. That's the last time there was full employment for black people. Mr. Chairman, 6.8% seems to be the lowest number that I can find since we've been keeping numbers. And for the last 47 of the last 54 years, it's always been twice that of white unemployment. Twice. Do you agree?
Do I agree?
Yes, sir. Do you agree that black unemployment is, generally speaking, twice that of white unemployment?
I think that's what the numbers would support.
Mr.
Yes.
Chairman, do you agree?
I agree, yes.
Okay, thank you.
It's a true statement.
All right, thank you. It's a true statement. Mr. Chairman, do you also agree that invidious discrimination still exists in the United States of America?
Well, this is a pretty short video, and you will see from the footage that I copied, and I have to thank Rethinking the Dollar. He was on my channel about a week ago and always brings a lot of content that otherwise I would miss. This is from the House Subcommittee on Finance, and Representative Al Green from Houston starts questioning Fed Chairman Jerome Powell. He's the new incoming Fed Chairman, on the black unemployment rate and what full employment means. And then he starts saying, well, to be honest with you, we haven't been at a rate of full employment for black people since slavery. And the clear implication of this is that, the black people have been discriminated against in order to prevent them from getting jobs. Or, and you know, this could be the other meaning, you know, I don't know if it is or it's not, that trying to get all black people to work is basically like asking them to go back to being slaves or something. What I see from Green's rhetoric, and I didn't shoot the whole thing, you can see the rest of the video of his questioning in the description below. What this is the result of politicizing of economic and finance topics, okay? He's the chairman of the Fed. There's plenty of things to criticize the Fed on, including borrowing policies and inflation and, you know, a host of other topics. And you know, that's why I usually tune into Rethinking the Dollar to watch that. But to talk about all this stuff about discrimination and, you know, unfair lending and whatever, you know, the Federal Reserve doesn't determine that at the top level. And what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to basically stop lending to or stop cooperation with in other ways? I don't know if the Federal Reserve lends to banks. That might show a little of my ignorance. But are they supposed to basically implement some sort of you know, exclusionary policy on banks that may not meet the criteria of people like Congressman Al Green? So this is basically a showcase of why the Congressional Black Caucus has been a failure over all these years. There's a different clip that Rethinking the Dollar, Mike, he included that, you know, they were talking about what the loss of 700,000 immigrants would mean to the economy, asking the chairman of the Federal Reserve. Now, yes, the chairman of the Federal Reserve does have some influence and absolutely some understanding of what goes into the labor market and the economy. But he's not here to make judgments on what deporting 700,000 immigrants would mean. Okay, 700,000 illegal immigrants. And that would be something more for the labor secretary or the NLRB head, the National Labor Relations Board. But what these people are trying to do is they're not trying to actually solve a problem. They're not trying to actually find any common ground with anybody, least of all with the Federal Reserve Chairman, because ultimately they're grandstanding for their constituents. They're trying to make it look like we're looking out for you guys because we're talking about the things that are a problem for you. But they're not looking out for the actual solutions to the problems. That's why they could care less that, it's it's probable that less black people are unemployed now than have been before. You can argue why. You can say it has nothing to do with Donald Trump. I had somebody on my show last week, Akil Aline, who said, "Yeah, it has nothing to do with Donald Trump." Go ahead, say that it's fine, but to say that, and I won't have any problem with you, stating your case or whatever. But to bring the chairman of the Federal Reserve and waste time and use him as some sort of punching bag in order to make political points is really just doing a disservice to the constituency that you serve. And by the way, I mean he is a member of the Black Caucus, but I mean I'm assuming not all the residents of Houston that he represents are black, obviously. So this is just more of the same. And they could have probably spent a little more of the time talking about issues that were actually pertinent to the Federal Reserve and how we're running ourselves into massive mountains of debt. But as people who are part of the party that wants more subsidies, more federal intervention, more wasteful spending, that's exactly the kind of thing that you'll never hear Al Green or Keith Ellison, who was the other speaker in a different video, talk about. So news is a kind of a short clip, but kind of really talks about everything that's wrong with Congress and everything that's wrong with certain people in Congress.